Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Robin here. Thanks for joining me today on my channel. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about shadow self today, doing some shadow healing. I've talked about this in a few previous videos, but I feel like it's probably a good time for a lot of people to be dealing with their darkness and the things that they don't like to talk about. This could be a string of events or a specific incident, or you know, all of us have such wide and varying paths, and we sometimes do things that we're not super proud of or we would never want to repeat again. And then we have these haunting memories, and that can turn into like part of your shadow self, right? You know, it can be really ugly, and not dealing with shadow wounds and pain can really start to manifest in things like toxic traits, you know, toxicity towards self and others. It can manifest in physical illness and mental illness. It can also manifest in the form of addictions. So angel number 111 just rolled by, so I find that very comforting. So doing shadow work is very dark, and it can be very gritty and very difficult. Some of you might cry. You might even cry during this video, because I'm going to give you some questions to sit down and get real with yourself, just so that you can heal, you know, and you can move forward with a little less pain in your life, pain that you could have inflicted on yourself or other people, whether it was intentional or not. All of us have these cringe moments where we're like, oh, why did that happen, you know, or tragedy and stuff like that. So let's like really dig deep into this, you guys, and don't be afraid to comment. I'm always here for you. You guys can email me too. My email address is in the description box. I'm here as a healer, a starseed, and a light worker to help people just really break out of their shell and rise a little higher, you know, within their self and their lives. So the first question, you guys can write these down if you want to, and do this later. I'll give you a couple of examples of how to do this exercise as well. You can do this as a journal work, or you can sit in front of a mirror, and I think that's really going to be the toughest one. Because mirror work really involves you looking in your own eyes. The third suggestion that I have is to do a video recording of yourself, and you don't have to point the camera where you're looking at yourself eye to eye, right? You can put it off to the side and ask these questions, and then you can play it back later. The reason I like the video and the journaling so much is that you can go reflect on it later and see how far you've come, okay? So the first question that you can ask yourself, and you have to be honest with yourself. I mean, you just really have to get naked in your own ability to heal any wounds that you have inflicted on self and others, okay? So this one is really powerful. Am I feeling shame about myself? Okay. What are you ashamed of? So identifying the what, and then asking why, you know, what am I ashamed of about myself? And that's a tough one, you know, and then why am I feeling shame about that? Okay. I can give you guys an example. It's still hard for me too, but I'm going to talk about myself because I want you guys to know that it's okay to say these things, and then move on, okay? Move on with healing, okay? So I always felt ashamed about my appearance, actually. And the why is because my parents always told me how ugly I was. Every time I would walk into a room, it felt like, and I was very young, you know, and I would get comments like, the closer you get, the ugly you become, and stuff like that. And I was like called stupid, and, you know, so it took me a long time to get over that. And I didn't realize like that sort of diatribe from my parents turned into my self-talk, and I was conditioned to do things that were like very harmful. Like I suffered from anorexia for a long time. I would starve myself. You know, I would just turn into like a sobbing mess if I didn't have a certain dress size, you know. It took me a long time to evolve out of that. You know, so that turned into my shame, like being like literally ashamed of the way I looked and being so self-conscious every time I walked into a room, everybody judging my appearance. And it took me, and now I don't care. You know, now I don't care what anybody thinks, and now I can accept my image in the mirror and not beat myself up about, you know, my body looking a certain way. So this can be really tough, and identifying like where it came from and really getting back to the root of where this all started. Okay, so that's one of my examples. I have many, but I've been able to do a lot of soul searching, like through my dark night of the soul and going through a very extensive hermit period. Okay, so the second one is, what parts of myself do I reject and why? Okay, so some of us could reject parts of my personality. I find that this one is probably really going to impact body image as well, because we're just super driven to look like models, you know, and everybody looks perfect. And, you know, in movies and magazines, it's like impossible to attain those lengths, you know, of fitness and health if you don't have help, and very often the help of an airbrusher as well. So, oh, something loud is happening outside, but do you know what I mean? Like, and then you're going to have to ask yourself, why are you rejecting that part of yourself? You know, so that's a deep, dark question as well. And then once you start understanding that, you can really start to accept yourself. You know, there's just, this is such a, like a challenging, deep, dark dive into really what makes you tick as a human. You know, and discovering where this all came from, especially if you guys have any of these issues like tied into your childhood, where the people that were supposed to nurture you just treated you like crap, okay, and gave you this huge burden to overcome. Okay, guilty as charged on point number 3, you guys. Am I repeating a toxic cycle? I'm going to give you guys an example of what I did, okay? It's hard to talk about, but I'm just going to let it fly, okay? Because, okay, so not the greatest parents. My father was pretty, he could be very physically abusive as well as verbally abusive, very insulting, and he wasn't shy to hit me or anything like that. So I didn't really have any other examples of, Lacey's going somewhere. I think she might bark. Hold on. Anyway, so, we lived in a very secluded area, like almost in the woods, right? So there was no friends or family of my parents to take an example of what like a divine masculine would be. So I was raised by, toxic masculine, and that was my example of what a man was. So I repeated that cycle in my romantic life until I was probably 40, honestly, you guys, and asking myself why I repeated that toxic cycle just wasn't enough. It just ended up like the last toxic male that I dated, like it got really, really nasty. Like if you don't deal with your shadow work, you guys, it can really turn ugly. Bad situations and these toxic patterns of, you know, you want to think alcohol and drugs and dieting to extreme, or lying, or, you know, gambling, just all these things. And mine was, you know, attracting and keeping toxic men. And the last one I dated, like he was, wow, like his temper was so insane. He actually pulled out a shotgun during a particular argument and pointed at me, and he took a shot as I was running away, and it was insane. It was insane. I'm starting to shake just thinking about it, just kind of seeing it, because it was brutal, you know, and I finally, like, that incident, angel number 1010, thank you. That was my moment where I was like, what am I doing with my life? Okay. I call that like my starseed awakening moment. It took that to set me on a road of healing, you know? And I just really had to start looking at the reasons why I was repeating that toxic cycle, and my shadow work started. The dark night of the soul, it all ensued from there. And I'm just, you know, it's strange to say, like, I'm really thankful for that lunatic that I dated. But that was the moment that I needed, I guess, to finally break that cycle, and just really start my healing journey. So yeah, that was a crazy moment, you guys, and I wouldn't be surprised if you guys have some crazy moments of your own. So don't be ashamed of them, okay? They had to happen for your journey to continue and to break free of cycles, okay? Am I lying to myself about something? I find that's kind of a tough one. Like, for me, I don't think I really kid myself about anything. It's just kind of my nature to be, like, really brutally honest in my life. I mean, I'm an Aries and I've got Irish heritage. Plus, I also have a bit of a blurting factor going on in my life. So I don't think I'm lying to myself anymore. I think I might have been lying to myself in the past to cover up any sort of forward motion that I needed to do, any work that I needed to do to break away from all these other toxic patterns that I have had. But right now, I don't believe I'm lying to myself about anything, okay? But not to say that that hasn't been a pattern in the past. So are you lying to yourself about something? And then ask yourself why. Okay, are you lying to yourself about your motivation for something, or why you continue on in unhealthy relationships, or why you could be subjected to an addiction? You know, how people say to themselves, oh, I can quit this anytime. That's a lie. You know what I mean? That's an excuse. So there's a lot of darkness involved in your shadow and shadow integration, but your shadow is also extremely powerful. And when you can stop being ashamed and afraid of all this darkness that you may have in your life, and then integrate that, then you start to feel this powerful blend of energy between your dark and light within you. It is that incredible balance. And then you will no longer be afraid of other people's judgment of you, because you accept yourself. And that's what matters most in this life, okay? So these are 4 very tough questions to ask yourself. Angel number 1331, thank you. Anybody else feeling goosebumps right now? And even just maybe listening to me talk about my story, and I used to just hide everything about myself and be so worried about what other people would think of my journey. Now I just couldn't give a fast, you know, this is my life, and these things happened, and part of my soul contract and my ascension journey and my starseed awakening. So from this perspective in my life, now that I'm 57 now, I look at it and go, wow, that was, wow, you know, I'm still standing. I made it. I survived. I did it. I am a rock star, and I'm just really proud that I was able to make it through every single thing that I ever did in my life, that ever happened to me. And now I'm sitting here with you guys and hopefully able to help you in some small way, you know, heal yourself, you know, so that you can learn to love and accept every single thing that ever happened, even the darknesses, you guys, because it is through your greatest valleys that you can reach your greatest highs, okay? So anyway, guys, I'm going to send you love and many blessings and so much love, okay? So I'm going to see you guys around the way. So take care. Bye. Bye.